Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here.
Nobody's gonna suspect a thing. We're just geeks doing what geeks do.
Today I've got an interesting movie for you guys. I went to see Dope. It was a movie that a lot of people had talked about at the Sundance Film Festival, and when I first saw a couple of the trailers, I really was not sure about what to think of it. But the more that I saw what this movie was going to be about, at least what I thought it was going to be about, it definitely looked like something out of the ordinary for me, especially when it comes to a genre like teen comedy. Comedy I've really lost a lot of respect for. There just doesn't seem to be a lot that I really enjoy these days, but this one looked pretty interesting, and I definitely will say, after seeing this movie, I had a lot of fun with it. It definitely broke the mold of the typical teen comedy with a lot of awesome messages. The movie itself was pretty much driven by the three main characters, who were Shameik Moore, who played Malcolm, and his two friends, who were played by Kiersey Clemons and Tony Revolori, who we all know as the bellboy from the Grand Budapest Hotel. It was definitely great to see him in this new light. And I really liked the story. It was the story of these three smart, geeky kids that basically have the potential to go anywhere in the world, but unfortunately, because of their upbringing in a really bad area of Los Angeles, the real world is not going to give them the right time of day because of the fact that they don't come from the greatest of locations, and what they're into and what they represent as part of geek culture are going to basically be the outcasts of the popular crowd. It was fantastic to actually see these three that just not necessarily want to make a name for themselves, but they just wanted people to know that they were out there and that they were relevant. And it happens to be a drug smuggling incident that they just happened to be a part of that they had to try and get themselves out of because they didn't have anybody helping them. They literally had to put their minds together to come up with solutions on their own to get rid of all of these drugs. They put their book smarts to the test, their street smarts, and that's what we get in this movie. It's got some great funny moments. I absolutely loved the soundtrack. Pharrell Williams did wonders with this movie as far as the soundtrack and being one of the executive producers alongside Forrest Whitaker, who also happened to be the narrator. It had a real roller coaster ride. I was laughing, I was just enjoying myself, having a really good time at the theater, and I really liked the uniqueness of some of the scenes that were shot in the film, like tracing steps backwards, etc., etc. I don't want to give too much away. If you want to see something really fresh and new, and definitely something that will keep you entertained. But I did feel that the movie had two major pitfalls. One being that there is also a little bit of a teen romance involved in this movie, and quite frankly, the love interest of Malcolm's, who was played by Zoe Kravitz, I just didn't really feel the relevance of her story. It seemed to me that they just threw the whole love story in there because she shows up at the beginning of the movie, and then she's not there for a long period of time, and then she shows up at the end of the movie. It just really didn't fit with the story. It really didn't seem to go along with everything else that was going on when it comes to the main plot points. And another thing that I really didn't like was I felt that the movie ran a little too long. I mean, there were certain points in time where I was surprised that the movie was still going on, and yet we still had more of the story to tell, and for some strange reason, I said that they could have ended this movie at least maybe 20 minutes before the actual ending of the film. I guess that there was just a little bit of filler that, yes, it did add to the movie to a certain degree, but it just wasn't necessary. I just felt that if the movie was maybe just a little under 2 hours, it probably would have been absolutely perfect. It's a cool movie. It's fresh, it's original, it's got a great soundtrack alongside some of the new songs, some excellent old school hip-hop. I loved all the 90s references, and I definitely feel that if you do have the ability to go see this movie, you should see it in theaters, but if you don't lose sleep over it. You could definitely see it when it comes out on Netflix, but you should definitely take a good look at this movie, because I would love to see this movie a second time, maybe not necessarily in theaters, and I am seriously considering having this one on my DVD collection, and possibly in my top 5 films of the year. But I'm going to give Dope 3 out of 4, so thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.